I have full confidence in Greg Fergus as Speaker of the House of Commons, as a thoughtful, independent-minded leader. The issue was dealt with, was addressed by the party and by the House Leader. It was an unfortunate mistake.
Okay, so here's the issue. There was an invitation to a, quote, summer evening with Greg Fergus that also referenced reckless policies of the Conservatives. A new version of the invitation has since been sent out with that reference removed. While Fergus is a Liberal MP, the Speaker role is meant to be nonpartisan. Both Conservative and Bloc MPs are calling on Fergus to step down once again. Joining me to discuss is Scott Reid. He's CTV's political commentator. Good morning to you, Scott. Here we are talking about Greg Fergus again. What's your reaction to this criticism about this invite that went out using this language? Was it a mistake? The Prime Minister is apologizing on behalf of the Speaker. What do you think?
It was a mistake, but it was the party's mistake. So I think if we want to be fair and clear about this, it wasn't Greg Fergus that sent it out. He did not, in this instance, make an error of judgment. He didn't send out a policy or an invitation that, was criticizing the leader of the official opposition. So it's not his mistake. But like, the simple truth is this, and you and I are going to have this conversation more in the months to come, because Greg Fergus is never going to have a moment's peace as Speaker. He will be under constant fire. The Conservatives opposed him when he was a candidate for Speaker. They have pounced on mistakes that he has made, and they've made it clear that even in instances like this, where the mistake wasn't really his, they're going to hold him to account. So I think you're going to see Greg Fergus on the grill over and over and over again.
Okay, so are you saying that he is being unfairly picked on and scrutinized, or?
I'm saying there's two things going on. I'm saying that Greg Fergus has become a target for the Conservatives in particular, also the Bloc. He's a Quebec MP. But in particular, I think he's become a target for the Conservatives. And what that means for Greg Fergus is that he has no margin for error. And unfortunately for him, he has made errors. This isn't one of them. This controversy we're talking about really isn't his fault. It wasn't of his making, but he has shown poor judgment in the past. There is the mistake. You flashed the shot of him in his robes right there. We see him. And that was a mistake of his making, entirely his own. And when you know one of the official parties in the House of Commons is gunning for you, you can't afford to make these mistakes. He cannot afford to make any mistakes going forward. He is going to be constantly under the highest scrutiny. And frankly, the Conservatives are just looking for an excuse for him to make a misstep so, they can take him down a peg.
How problematic is it, Scott, for the House to be divided over the Speaker? I mean, he doesn't have the confidence of everyone in the House of Commons.
It's problematic, but it's also life in the big city in two ways. One, it's a minority parliament. So you're going to have a division of views in a minority parliament a year away or so from an election. You're going to find that things are more intense, more partisan. The chamber is going to be used more as a boxing arena. And that puts the Speaker in an untenable spot and a tough spot. And sometimes people yell at the referee. And that's what the Speaker is. He's the referee. So in a close, tight game, when you're near the whistle like we are, you're going to get the umpire being yelled at. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is that, again, Greg Fergus, has made mistakes. And so they're looking to take his riding, whether it's the Bloc or the Conservatives, they're gunning for that riding. Now, it's a tough Liberal riding. It's in a real strong spot for the Liberals, even at this low ebb. But that's part of it, too. Part of it is futures. Let's make this guy a figure of controversy. Let's see if some of that negative brand sticks to him, and let's hope that weakens him as a candidate in the next race.
Do you think he'll resign as Speaker, Scott?
No, and I don't think the Liberals or the NDP will balk on him. I think that's what I mean. I come back to it. Greg Fergus is never going to have a moment's peace as Speaker. He made a couple of mistakes early out of the chute that handed the opposition all the ammo they needed, and now it'll be a process of constant conflict, constant confrontation, and he's going to have to constantly justify his actions and decisions. And Lord help him if he does make another misjudgment, he doesn't have a lot of room to play with.